My name is Paul Grew. I'm an Agility in Mind coach and trainer, and welcome to today's FAQs Live. The topic for today is what is the difference between iterative and incremental, so we'll be thinking about that. We're going to explore both of these two ideas. The session is recorded. A little bit about how we're structured in the session today. We're going to start off thinking about iterative delivery, have a little pause for any questions, move on to incremental development, again another pause, and then maybe a sort of a time to reflect on how we might sort of maximize from the benefits of both of these two ideas. So we're going to start with iterative delivery. So traditionally, what we might do is in a sort of, I guess, waterfall project or plan-based thing is we create a great project plan that we sort of then create some business rules for some functionality. So in this case, you're thinking about a basket. So can we add something to the basket for stock levels? And so we create these business rules, we go off, we build something, and finally, sometimes, we deploy it and get lucky and it all works, but sometimes the business rules that we've identified don't really sort of pay off. Perhaps in this scenario, we forgot to sort of think, well, stock levels might still be greater than 0, but multiple people might have it in their basket whilst they're sort of continuing to browse. So maybe there's some sort of concurrency type things that weren't captured in these requirements. So what we're doing in this sort of waterfall approach is we're basing our entire plan on some, sort of rationalized design at the start, but we don't really get any feedback right until the end. So what we're trying to do with an iterative approach is sort of address that big issue there. So we start off with a little bit of planning, and we build something. And hopefully, at the end of a sprint or an iteration, depending on which framework you're using, you've created something that you can sort of get some feedback on. So we can sort of inspect what we've built. We can get feedback. Oh, we really love this part of the feature. That bit's not quite right. Hey, we've got some new ideas here. So we can start to sort of layer up those iterative ideas, run another sprint, take some more things off the product backlog, build it, some more feedback, and we can start to sort of like, kind of iteratively check that what we're building is the right thing through sort of growing the software rather than having these big bang multiple releases. So what we're really doing in an iterative approach is we are applying feedback loops. So we have in an iterative approach, we have so in Scrum, you would have a sprint review where we review what was done, we sort of improve the requirements. So that's the feedback loop there. But also we have a feedback loop from the retrospectives, which improves our processes and how we can improve as a team. So the two sort of, I guess, common agile frameworks that sort of adopt this kind of iterative style, predominantly ones that work in iterations and sprints like Scrum or extreme programming. To a certain degree, you could do a similar thing in Kanban, but that doesn't obviously have those time boxes or those kind of the concept of an iteration. So incremental development. So again, we're sort of thinking about what might be a traditional approach. What is the problem we're trying to solve? So sometimes when we're building products, technical products, what we think about is the kind of the architecture of the system. And I've kind of come across a team recently that's been sort of trying to work in this way and sort of helping them sort of change their approach. So what we might do is say, right, well, we've got this problem we're going to solve. We're going to build a shop. So the first thing we're going to need is a database. We need a database with all of the tables and structures for all the products. We need to have all the customer information in there. So we design a sort of complete database system. And then we might add in a sort of a backend server. So once we've got the database, we can start building in a sort of backend server. Then we might sort of add in some sort of extra layers of content management, and then ultimately a front end. And then at that point, we've got something that we can give to a customer, and we can sort of roll out the website. The problem with this approach is it just takes forever. So you're not going to be able to sort of get any benefit, roll out the entire system until all of the 4 components is complete. The other problem that you have is, does the database that you built right at the start, is that fit for purpose by the time that you've got to the end by building the web front end? So there's, again, a challenge, sort of potentially causing delays when we try and integrate it all and sort of make sure that, as we start to apply data and make the system work, does it meet the customer needs? So that's a big challenge. So when we sort of apply an incremental approach, what we can start to do is say, right, well, what we want to do is we're going to sort of create a small slice through the entire system. So that enables us to be able to sort of market or sell or sort of enable to sell a single product, perhaps. So we'd build, in order to sell, maybe say it's t-shirts. So in order to sell a single t-shirt, what we would do is build just enough of the database to hold that one single product and for a small number of customers. We would then sort of build the back end, integrate it with the CMS, and then build a front end. So we're building that very small layer of the system, which enables us to sort of roll the product out, get some feedback, make sure perhaps even get some revenue from the product as well. Once we've done that, we can start to layer up the next layer of complexity or fidelity into the system. So we sort of extend the database to support more products or more product types. We might then sort of, by extending the database to support those, we'll then need to extend the back-end systems, the APIs, the CMS, and potentially the front end as well. So we're sort of enhancing the richness of the product. And then finally, we sort of get to the sort of same endpoint as before, but we've kind of built each of these layers. We've kind of laid it up, and laid it up. A bit like taking a snowball and rolling it into a snowman. One of the things we might do, though, as we're building this and incrementally growing it, we might figure that certain things that we sort of thought, oh, that's really important, we need that for this sort of step in the development, they're no longer needed. So that's where we might need to refactor, remove and redesign some of the architecture. And that's why it's good that software is malleable. It allows us to sort of make those changes and continuously evolve the architecture of the system. So think about how we can benefit from adopting both an iterative and incremental approach. So again, we're thinking about building a shop. We might start with our sort of the first increment, building something. It's a full slice through the system, we can start to think about combining the idea of getting the feedback during the sprints and iterations, but then also working through these thin slices through the system. And so the important part is this kind of feedback loop. And particularly when we're thinking about agile and agility, one of the things that is super important is the ability to build something and get customer feedback on. Otherwise, how do we know we're building the right thing? And therefore, the essence of each of these approaches is based on that feedback cycle. And this is where the sprint review becomes really important. So at the end of every sprint or iteration, we want to have this meeting where we show the real product that we've created, and we get various stakeholders, business people, and likely you'll get real customers there, but you might have somebody representing the voice of customers, and we show that real product. We get the feedback, And that allows us to adjust our plan, and the plan is represented in our product backlogs. As we sort of develop our product backlogs, we often think about, the question that always gets asked, isn't it? Well, when's it going to be ready? And when we think about the when's it going to be ready question, when we think about that traditional approach where we've got that jeopardy moment, all or nothing, is the whole thing ready or is it not? Then that makes that when's it ready question really sort of emotive and stressful, and often the dates that are projected are kind of, I guess it's kind of professional crystal balling. But when we move into these iterative and incremental, sort of combining both of those two approaches, we sort of removing some of that jeopardy from the from this environment, and so what we're now able to say is, well, we can get this basic functionality out to the customer straight away, and once we've got that, it makes it easy for us to start layering up and sort of adding in extra features and functionality and enriching the system and extra layers into the architecture. And so then we're moving away from when's the whole thing ready to when can we get that first bit to the customer, and how then quickly can we start to sort of evolve it over time.